All right, in this video, I'm going to review 5 books that have had an absolute profound impact on my life. These 5 books have the ability to be completely life-changing for you in pretty much every area of your life, from your emotional and physical health, your spiritual health, your relationship health, even the health of your business if you're an entrepreneur. But before we get into these 5 books, I have to come out and say it. I was completely wrong. About this time last year, I put out a video titled something along the lines of, "If you're reading, you're wrong." And it was really about the focus of entrepreneurs or people trying to reach a goal. I was getting comments all the time asking what books I read, what books led to my success, what books do I recommend? And since I was barely reading at the time, this time last year, essentially I was barely reading, maybe 2 or 3 times a year I would read a book. Essentially I talked about how you shouldn't be focused on that. Well, I was completely wrong. So this year I made it a personal goal that every week of the year of 2019, I was going to go ahead and read a book. And I've essentially almost stayed on par with that. I've been very close. I think I'm 1 or 2 books behind actually reading a book a week. And this year, more so than any year in my life, I've had the most profound change and growth in every area of my life. From my relationship growth, my emotional health, my physical health, even the health of my businesses. I've had the most growth this year, and I attribute a lot of that to the books I've been reading. So I was completely wrong by coming out and saying that in that video that essentially if you're reading, you're wrong. I was completely wrong. Just want to come out and say that. So as we get into these 5 books, if you've read any of these books before or you enjoy these recommendations, if you guys could go ahead, drop a like down below, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely leave any comments or questions you have. I love going ahead and connecting with all of you. But let's go ahead and jump into these 5 books. All right, so the first book I have for you, I actually read towards the end of the year. This is one of the first kind of very impactful books I read this year, and that was Cant Hurt Me by David Goggins. So if you've been following David Goggins at all, you know how inspirational and motivational this guy is. This guy's story is absolutely unbelievable, and his book is essentially an autobiography of his life so far. So David was a very, very obese guy, and he wanted to become a Navy SEAL, and he had a very short time period in which he could essentially try out to go to BUD/S to become a Navy SEAL. He dropped all of the weight, went on, became a Navy SEAL after failing out a couple times, getting injured a couple times, then went on to become a huge ultra runner. He's now done some pretty insane ultra marathons and has even gone on to break the world record for the pull-up. The motivation that comes out of this book is absolutely insane, and it's become a bestseller because of that. Essentially, it's all about beating your inner demons. What can you do to do more? How can you do more in every area of your life? Essentially not settling at all. And this book has had a huge impact on my life, and I took it very literally and got inspired by his running and his ultra running, that this year I went on to essentially do my first ultra marathon. I did a 50K 31-mile race back in April, and I've got a 50-mile race coming up. So it's had a very, very profound impact on not only my mentality with essentially the grit and the grind that he talks about, but also very literally with my physical health and now running. And the ultra running itself, I can definitely do a video on that, but I've had a ton of my growth this year also come directly from the ultra running. So this book not only changed me with the book itself, but the new hobby that I found out I absolutely love has had profound impact on my life, and has led to enlightenment in so many different areas of my life in itself. And I attribute a lot of the growth to ultra running. So if you'd like me to do a video on ultra running in itself, definitely drop a comment down below. But Cant Hurt Me is definitely a book I highly, highly, highly recommend. This is an absolute life-changing book, and I can't recommend this book enough. Definitely go ahead and read Cant Hurt Me. All right, the second book I have for you is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. This is definitely moving in a different direction than Cant Hurt Me by David Goggins, but this is also a life-changing, very enlightening book in itself. So this book, essentially it's about a lawyer who's at the top of his game. He's made millions. He's a world-renowned attorney, and essentially he has a heart attack and he almost dies. He goes ahead and sells all of his possessions, and he has millions of dollars worth of possessions. Hence, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. He moves over to India. Essentially, he lives with monks for a few years, and it completely changes him. He comes back over, and the book is all about his teachings, what he learned, the wisdom he got out of it. And the great thing about this book is this book has some very, very practical tips and practical knowledge about how you can make direct changes to your life, things you can go ahead and put into action today. This is also by Robin Sharma, who wrote the book, The 5 a.m. Club, which is another great book. So there's very, very practical knowledge in here, but it's also a book that will make you self-reflect and really see where you are spiritually and emotionally and relationally. This is a great book to, I would say, start your growth more emotionally and spiritually. But this book can help you in every area of your life. There's great tips out there for entrepreneurs. There's great tips out there for pretty much every person. So I highly, highly recommend The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. The third book I have for you is definitely one of my favorites, and this is called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So this book is a world-renowned classic now. This book was written quite a while ago. It's a fictional book about a boy, a shepherd who lives in Spain, and he has the dream to go visit the pyramids of Egypt, which back in those times, it was very hard for a shepherd, or it was thought to be crazy for someone like a shepherd in Spain to essentially just go visit the pyramids of Egypt. So the whole story is about him essentially trying to realize his dreams. And the whole kind of premise behind the book, the meaning behind the book, is essentially talking about the importance of dreams and goals, and how most people essentially will let life beat them down to where they won't go ahead and realize their dreams. This book is great to go ahead and essentially talk about the importance of dreams, how you can unlock that true power you have inside you. And this is another book that's gonna really, really make you self-reflect. If you go ahead and you marinate on this book, you will get so much out of this book. And what's really cool is I've talked to a couple of people about this book, and everybody gets different things about it. Almost every symbol, every word in this book, different people get different things out of this book. And this is definitely a book you can reread, and every time you read it, you're gonna get some very, very powerful messages out of it. Almost every single symbol and word in this book applies to every area of life. So you can grow emotionally, relationally, spiritually, physically, every area of your life. You can grow from this book because there's symbolism in all of it. And the more you read it and reflect on it, this is an absolute life-changing story. I can't recommend The Alchemist enough, and it's no surprise that this is a world-renowned classic loved by so many people. This is definitely a book that I attribute a lot of my growth this year to this book. All right, the fourth book I have for you is Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. This is a little bit of a shorter book compared to the other ones, but this is a story created by Dr. Spencer Johnson to better illustrate change and how to get over change, how to see change coming, how to know when to change. Pretty much everything having to do with change, which comes in everybody's lives and comes in so many different ways. Essentially, it's a story about how to better experience change. So it's about two mice and then two little people put into a maze with cheese. Both the little people and the mice absolutely love cheese, but it keeps getting changed. Their experience with it keeps getting changed. I'm not going to give away everything, but this is another book that no matter who you are, you're going to get different things out of this book. They've done different studies with people, and so many different people grab different things from this book because everybody's life experiences is different. But this is a book that applies to absolutely everybody because change happens in everybody's life. This book can help you identify if you need to make any changes in your life, if you have change coming up, how to better see it, and then when you actually do experience change, how to better in a healthier way get over change. But this is a great book for everybody to read at some point in their life. This is a life-changing book on the topic of change. All right, the fifth book I have for you is one of the more recent books I've read, and I can't recommend this book enough. This is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. So this is a book written by a German author, I believe back in the 1920s, and this has become a classic. It's about a monk in India that wants to find enlightenment. So he goes on this journey. He actually meets Gautama Buddha, but he decides not to live under Gautama Buddha's teachings. He decides to essentially try to go find enlightenment and wisdom on his own. So he goes through his whole journey. He goes through experiences of love, experiences everything having to do with love and sex. He finds wealth and loses it. He finds children. So this really applies to pretty much anybody's life, and this will really, really make you self-reflect on your own life. This is a book that if you let it and you let this marinate, you will have spiritual growth on this. You'll have emotional growth from this. You'll have relationship growth from this. This is a book that truly can help you have some really, really spiritual growth. And this is a book that I'm still letting this marinate. This is still one that I'm still going back to. And it's a very, very deep book. This is a book that You'll have extremely deep thoughts come out of this book, but it can be very, very enlightening to you. I can't recommend this book enough. So those are my 5 life-changing books that I've read so far here in 2019. All the books I've read so far have definitely changed me, or I've let it grow me in some way. So a lot of the other books that didn't quite make this list have definitely had huge impacts on my life as well. So I can definitely drop my whole list, my reading list of what I've read so far this year. But if you are not currently reading, I can't suggest enough to just start picking up a book. If you're not reading at all, maybe just try to make it a goal to read once a month. Just be very strategic on what type of book to read. If you're already reading once a month, try to up that, try to double it. But I can't recommend enough how important it is to read. I completely have changed my mind from how I used to be with it. I've let books grow me in so many different ways. And that really comes down to I heard from someone that books, yeah, you'll get knowledge from it, but the wisdom you get from books is actually you applying what you learn in it, but then it's also how you let your self-reflection, how you let it actually grow you. Because how you're gonna get something out of, say, Siddhartha, you're gonna get something out of it completely different than me. We might have a lot of similarities that we get out of it, but you're also gonna get some different things that I don't get. That's where the true growth happens. So I can't recommend enough that you start reading if you're not already. And if you'd like me to do a video on how I'm reading a book a week, I know that's not super impressive. I know there's people that do a book a day, but if you'd like me to do a video on how I'm reading a book a week, I can definitely kind of drop my tips, what's working for me down below. But this has definitely been a very, very life-changing year of growth for me, and I attribute a lot of it to the books I've read, and then the self-reflection and the marinating and the growth I've allowed from it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely plan to do more of these kind of book recommendations, book reviews, if you guys like these type of videos. I know they're kind of a little bit more niche, but for you that, for those of you that like personal growth and self-improvement, I'd love to go ahead and do more of these videos for you. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely leave any comments or questions down below. I love going ahead and connecting with you guys. Be happy, be positive, be powerful, and have a great day.